Party animals, like and subscribe if you want your players to be lights out on today's slate. So yesterday we talked about team stacking, so inter-team correlation, right? Like an assist or something, or like, again, the whole overtime example, which someone I think had already said it happens about 6% of the slates, right? 6% of the slates goes into overtime or some nonsense. I don't think that's enough to just stack a game, right? That shouldn't be enough. 6% isn't enough. What is enough for me? That's a Josh Engelman article. Yeah, it could have been a Josh Engelman article. I think I remember reading that a couple years ago. I know Beep I'm a Jeep did it for the longest time. Not sure how that worked. I'm pretty sure Asani still stacks games for whatever reason, even in sports that have no correlation between teams. Baseball. So I've seen guys aim for the whole overtime thing, and cool and fantastic, but I'm not sure that's the way to go. But if you were to specifically look at games, and take yesterday, for example, the Atlanta-New York game was 143 to 120 without overtime. The game was a blowout, right? And if you rostered Trae Young, you had a 61 burger, right, from him. If you rostered RJ Barrett, you had 40. If you rostered, I don't know, pick someone else. Julius, I know, was pretty owned. I think he did okay. I don't think he did great. I think Hunter, I think, did pretty good. DeAndre Hunter did pretty well. Herder did pretty good. Like, there were a few guys you could have paired in there or mix and match that did really well. Brandon, thanks for the gifted sub to Fuhonky. Hey, where's Fuhonky been, man? What's up, dude? He hasn't been here in a fat minute, man. Where you been? I don't even think he's in here, but if you are, come back, dude. There was a few of these guys that you could have put together, and if they were on opposite teams. Now, yesterday we kind of came to the conclusion, you call it whatever you want, but if you have a point guard and its backup, probably negative correlation there, right? If you have a couple guys that are vying for minutes that usually can't play, even though they might start at the same time, that during the game pretty much cannibalize each other's minutes, that would be some negative correlation you don't want, and even in a game stack you don't want to, right? So there's so many different things you want to avoid, but I also think because yesterday we kind of determined that everyone in NBA is pretty much negatively correlated if you're in the same game to an extent, right? Rebounds can't go to two people. It's a timed game, so anything you do is taken away from someone else, right? So for the most part, everyone's negatively correlated. But if you're looking for, maybe minutes correlation or like that pace correlation, like what if you look at that Atlanta-New York game from yesterday and say, well, I mean, look how much they scored. There were so many possessions, and if it was a closer game, not 143 to 120, maybe 143 to 135 or something, how much of this game just goes ham, right? How much of this game goes ham, and what does that do for fantasy points? So the same way we have some randomness in individual players' production, we still have some randomness in trying to project players because of pace, right? Like if we expect the pace to be X, and instead of it's a little bit higher, hey, that means the game probably together does a little bit better, and everyone in the game does a little bit better, right? So it's one of those where it's like some sort of hidden correlation almost. And if you looked at yesterday's slate, winning lineups, yesterday had RJ Barrett, DeAndre Hunter, Trae Young from the same game, had Jackson Hayes, this is all the same lineup by the way, had Jackson Hayes, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, all from the same game. And it's like you get just 2 games, and 5 of these guys are all or 6 of these guys are all from the same 2 games. It's like if those 2 games specifically go ham, could be one was overtime, one was just extremely fast-paced. That's a lot of fantasy points in one game, and you could take advantage. Similar to, and it's obviously not similar to MLB because MLB has a lot of short-term variance in every single game, where there's not a lot of short-term variance in basketball, right? But there maybe is ways where you can try some stacking types, some game stacks per se, you know? And I'm not sure it's the worst idea.